Hello and welcome everybody to my Jer'Zhan Newton Prospect Breakdown. Jer'Zhan Johnny Newton, the 6'2", 295-pound redshirt junior interior defensive lineman from Illinois, is one of the best pass rushers in this class, and especially at the defensive tackle position. But before I get into this video, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, follow my TikTok and my Twitter, and support my Patreon if you want access to my 2024 NFL draft board. Newton was a 3-star recruit at a high school where he declared to Illinois in 2020. He had his breakout year in 2022 where among interior defensive linemen, he led the FBS in quarterback hits with 19, was second in total pressures with 59, had 5.5 sacks, and had a pass rush win rate of 14.6%. He also had 30 run stops, which was second in the FBS, and a run stop rate of 10.2%. He repeated in 2023 with another great year, having 43 total pressures, 7.5 sacks, and a pass rush win rate of 15.4%, all within the top 10 for interior defensive linemen. In 2023, he was a consensus All-American, won the Nagurski-Woodson Defensive Player of the Year award, and the Smith-Brown Defensive Lineman of the Year award. Newton can consistently win as a pass rusher with technique, a pass rush plan, and effective pass rush moves, as well as his finesse. He has a ton of effective pass rush moves and combos, including his club, swim, and swipes. Along with his pass rush plan and pass rush moves, his quick hands at the point of attack and great use of leverage as a smaller defensive tackle makes him a difficult matchup one-on-one. Newton also has great athleticism for a defensive tackle. He has great movement, quickness, and explosiveness off of the line of scrimmage. And even as a smaller defensive tackle, he can definitely hold his own in the run game, especially as a block shedder, and he has underrated power. He can forklift or move guards out of the way to clog gaps, and his power is also shown as a pass rusher. With Newton's size and abilities, his ideal fit would be a 4-3 defensive tackle. Though Newton is a great pass rusher and run defender, he is undersized for a true defensive tackle at 6'2", 295 pounds, and also doesn't seem to have the best length. Of course, he didn't test at the combine, so we can only go off of the information we already have about his size, but based on the film, it seems like he was a little smaller than his listed size. I think he also has a bit of a disconnect between his upper body and lower body. His upper body stores a lot of power, but when his anchor is challenged, he can be pushed back. His lower body also lacks the same flexibility and finesse that his upper body does. Facing double teams also caused him a good bit of trouble, and I don't think he would be able to fit a 2-gap responsibility like a 3-4 defensive end. And lastly, there were a bit of tackling inconsistencies last year with 12 missed tackles in 2023, but in earlier years, that wasn't a problem. With all that being said, let's get into the film breakdown. Alright, so the first bit of the film portion of this breakdown, we're going to have Jer'Zhan Newton, of course, against Penn State here. First, Jer'Zhan Newton is going to be playing a 3-tech. He's easily between both the tackle and the left guard here. Jer'Zhan Newton immediately off the line, quick first step. The guard's role here is really to be a double team block here. This is a zone, pretty much an inside zone run. Completely misses Jer'Zhan Newton, easily gets in there, wraps the running back up, and suplexes him for the tackle for loss. Alright, so we're coming back here on the same drive. Look at how Jer'Zhan Newton splitting the tackle and the guard. And look at his matchup one-on-one. Pushes the guard into the running back, clogs the hole for a tackle for loss on the goal line. On this play, Newton is going to come in with a big left-hand club, get the guard off of position, forces Drew Aller to hitch the ball, and ends up getting the pressure that forces a sack. A little quick football lesson for you guys. This is what is known as the 4-eye. It's basically the inside shade / inside shoulder of an offensive tackle. So let's look what Jer'Zhan Newton is going to do from this position here. First, quick step off of the line, shimmy shimmy, swipe hands away, then rips and gets a free lane to Drew Aller, but he does get it out. Here on this play, Newton is going to be in the exact same spot, but instead of a swipe moves, he's just going to go with that good old bull rush, gets the offensive line flat on the ground, forces Drew Aller to make a questionable throw. For one of my weaknesses for Jer'Zhan Newton, I definitely think that double teams can be a bit of a problem for him, especially as a bit of an undersized defensive tackle. Look at how he's stalled early on due to the double team. It's more or less, I don't know necessarily if he can play that 3-4 defensive tackle and have a 2-gap responsibility, but I think as a 4-3, which I think he fits best in, he can easily win on those one-on-ones. And then look at Jer'Zhan Newton's ability here on this stunt play. Look at him so quickly around both tackles, but just misses the arm tackle for the sack. Moving on to the Nebraska game, look at this quickness off the line, and then a random lunge here, but it does force the quarterback to pick up the ball on the read option. But I mean, let me go back to it. Look at the lunge. All right, here's another play where Newton is going to be rushing from the 4-eye. Gonna go in with the big chop with his left hand, gets his hands up, forces the quarterback to throw it a little off, but this cornerback's got to catch that damn ball. And I think this play really displays how good of a finesse rusher that Jer'Zhan Newton is. First, he's going to come in with a swipe, but then comes in across the face with a swim move, gets free, gets a good hit on the quarterback, forces the throw to be a bit offline. And then here is the last play I'm going to show from the Nebraska game. This is his half sack. This is just a screen that doesn't work out. Jer'Zhan Newton is just free here with, I think that's Keith Randolph, and they get the sack. I always talk about this with defensive linemen, but I think that motor is such an extremely important thing. Look at Jer'Zhan Newton just working with the power rush, and then sees out of his left eye to force the fumble, and all the Illinois players jump on it, and that's a turnover. It's really hard not to say that Wisconsin was his best game on tape, especially as a pass rusher. Look at how he's just abusing the right guard with his chop moves, gets lock out of the pocket. And then here's a phenomenal play where Jer'Zhan Newton is going to have to work across two offensive linemen's face, going to work with the power rush, rips across the hands, and then he's going to end up sacking Brock for the sack, or lock, excuse me. And then just look at the violent and quick hands that Jer'Zhan Newton possesses, completely overpowering his matchup, getting a hit on lock. And then look at the power and use of leverage. Jer'Zhan Newton gets to the lineman's blind spot, throws him out of the way, and clogs the gap for a tackle for loss. And then for the final play of the breakdown, this was just arguably the best play that I've seen from Jer'Zhan Newton. Swim move, gets through, and then just look at the violence on that hit. Just absolutely leveling Braden Locke. Listen, Jer'Zhan Newton does get ejected from this, but I'm not really caring, because if he's gonna do this to an NFL quarterback, oh yeah, he'll get a rough in the passer. But that's the violence that you love to see from interior defensive linemen, but he's gonna get penalized for that all day. I don't have a great comparison for Newton at the NFL level, but Lance Zierlein of NFL Network gave a great comparison for Newton, that in Javon Hargrave. They're both similar builds with the same height, with Javon Hargrave being a little heavier. Both are ideal 4-3 pass rushing defensive linemen, with both having great uses of leverage and similar pass rush moves. However, I think Jer'Zhan Newton is more athletic and Hargrave is worse versus the run. And I am giving Jer'Zhan Newton a 6.45 prospect grade, or a late first round grade. He's currently 16th on my 2024 NFL draft big board, and he's my second best interior defensive lineman in the class. I think Newton at the NFL level could be one of the better pass rushing and run defending 4-3 defensive tackles, and at his absolute peak could make a Pro Bowl. There was also a good chance during the draft he could be the first defensive tackle taken off the board, and it's safe to say he'll go within the first 25 picks. Even though he is undersized, I don't think it all affected my evaluation or how good I think Newton can be at the NFL level. Byron Murphy II is my favorite interior defensive lineman in this class, and he measured in at 6 foot, 297 pounds at the combine, and Newton would have fit right around that size as well. He is also neck and neck with Dallas Turner, who is my 15th player on my draft board with the same prospect grade, but Turner had a phenomenal combine and really good production at the SEC level. But overall, I think that Newton is already an NFL-ready defensive tackle, regardless of his size, and in the modern NFL really is an ideal 4-3 defensive tackle who can be a 2 to 3 down defensive lineman who can play the run and rush the passer. And Newton would be a great addition to any defensive line. But that's gonna do it for my Jer'Zhan Newton prospect breakdown. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, follow my TikTok and my Twitter, and make sure you support my Patreon if you want access to my 2024 NFL draft board, and read my full scouting report on Substack. Link is in the description. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next breakdown.